Whoa, we are live. Hello, everyone. My name is Marlene McCohen, and this is Jersey. She's my very chill umbrella cockatoo. And today we are trying for the first time going live with StreamYard. Now, this is not sponsored or anything like that. As you can see, we have the logo that we can't take off because we have the free version right now. And it almost was covering Jersey's head. So today I have a really cool topic that I want to talk about that I think you guys might be interested in. And in light of sitting here with Jersey the Cockatoo, who is she's in very chill mode right now, I thought we would talk about reasons why you do not want to get a cockatoo. Now, before I go on, so I don't sound like I'm being negative about getting a cockatoo, I love cockatoos. Like, I just love them. They have amazing personality. They're so much fun. Jersey is a human being, okay? She is just today, okay? We're here in my office today and we needed help with some technical things. That's where George comes in. And so he called, we put him on speaker, and she walked over as soon as she heard his voice and she was like, "Hi, how you doing?" Like, she was so, just aware, and like, it's really amazing to have a cockatoo. But let's get into, for those of you who might be thinking about getting a cockatoo, or those of you who might be fantasizing about getting a cockatoo, let's go over some reasons why you definitely do not want to get a cockatoo. And before I go on with the subject, I would just like to give some shout outs to those of you who are here early: Katie Wood, Brian Sy, Carol Slap, Laylax Love, Talis Sotomayor. But let's get right into our subject. So, listen, I did not plan out any which order of how I'm going to say these things. So I think I'm going to start with the first thing, which is destruction. Guys, listen, Jersey's actually pretty good, but I will tell you right now, you are in for it with lots of birds. And the larger the bird, the more destructive they tend to be. But I think a lot of people that don't have cockatoos or maybe aren't familiar with larger birds, they have no idea what they are getting themselves into. So I thought I would list off some of the things that are destroyed in my house that I have to constantly be aware of where the bird is and what the bird is doing, because, birds love to destroy things. Now, I don't want to out Jersey because she actually is pretty impressive for a cockatoo, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of you that have cockatoos that are more destructive or less destructive. And there was a day that my sister and I came home, and like college books that are this thick with hard covers, Jersey had eaten a hole through my sister's entire like math book. Okay, like a hole through the hardcover, deep down, like built a little like volcano cave. So that's just what, she did one day. But actually, since, she's been really, really chill. So she's actually, you are making this subject, this point, not look good because you've been amazing lately. But here are some things. First of all, say goodbye to those dining room chairs that are made out of wood. We cannot have anything in our house made out of wood, okay? Not a table, not chairs. The house that we got our other cockatoo from, when we rescued Ty the cockatoo, had these wooden like chairs, and they were all chewed up. Bar stools were all chewed up, molding. My African gray, this is not a cockatoo, but just for, reference, kind of in this subject, they're a little bit all similar. My African gray chewed up all of our baseboards and all of our molding. I didn't realize how much that stuff cost. If you have an upstairs, the banister has to be made out of iron. Like, once you want things, oh, forget about it. My cabinets completely destroyed. They can climb up, open drawer, sit on the drawer, and then you know what? I'm just sitting here on this drawer and it kind of looks like fun to chew. So, yeah, if they're a little less destructive, then it'll be like your earrings. Like, I used to wear like jewelry, like costume jewelry and other kinds of things. She broke them all. I used to have like them on display, like hanging, on like a little rack so you could see all my jewelry. She went and broke all of them, chewed them up. They just look like bird toys to her. I don't wear necklaces. I don't wear earrings because it's just like I'd be hanging a bird toy on my head for the bird to play with. Some cockatoos will chew holes in your sweaters and hoodies, but actually find that a lot of smaller birds tend to be the ones to do that. But Jersey chews tons of holes in George's t-shirts, so he always has like, t-shirts. Brian Sy says his bird chews up his plants. On that note, let's talk about that for a second. Birds love plants and flowers, so you do have to kind of adjust your life when you're getting a bird to make sure that your house is safe. So you would want to make sure that you don't have any toxic plants or flowers around. They'll just behead all the flowers. So like, you really have to become aware of what you're leaving out, and like, oh, guess who doesn't have any designer purses? Because like, I would have to be aware to not put a purse down anywhere. Because remember, guys, I believe in gauge, not caged. Yes, my birds have cages. We're building a big bird room, but really I work on making sure that they are out all day, engaged. If I'm home, they're on stands. I have multiple stands around my house. There's lots of different places around my house for them to hang out in. And that's another topic that we should talk about, why you shouldn't get a cockatoo. Because if you don't have that capability, or you don't want to come home and put in that amount of work, then it's going to weigh on you. Like, if you have a good conscience, it's going to weigh on you, and you're going to know, like, I'm keeping a prisoner, and these birds cannot be prisoners. You know what I'm saying? So back to the purse thing for a second. You start having to have this instinct to not leave anything out because they could destroy it. So like, even this cup right here, it's got a little bit of coffee in it. First of all, I wouldn't want to leave it out for fear that she could come and drink it. So I'd have to adjust my life to always kind of be on edge. But second of all, like, they could just walk up to something, pick it up and throw it down and spill it. So that officially brings me to the second reason: having to completely adjust your life so that things don't get destroyed, so that you don't get bit, so that you're giving them freedom. I think a cockatoo and many other birds are only good for people that are selfless, really. And it's okay to be selfish as long as you say, like, I don't think I should get a bird, because it's one of those things where, let's say you come home from work and there was no one to be with the birds, and you might want to go hang out somewhere else. Well, I'm not going to, because I'm going to be like, no, they need to be out and loose because I haven't been here, or George hasn't been here. Now, luckily in our household, there's always different comings and goings, and so there's a lot of action. And we also do have an aviary that I like to put them outside, so they have a lot more space and a lot more fun in during the day and things like that as well. But they never stay out there because they're part of my family and they are inside. So let's get to number 3. Katie Wood is asking, how much socialization do you give her? Well, I would like you to imagine that your bird or Jersey is a toddler, right? So anytime you're interacting with her, let's say you're giving her 100% interaction, right? Like, you're playing a game with her. She loves games. Let's say I'm playing hide and seek. she's getting the maximum interaction at that moment. And she might want to play catch. You don't have to be doing that 100% of the time. Right now, she's free, but I'm engaged with you guys and she's just sitting here and chilling. So what I do is when I go home, they're all free. And when I go shower, they come up to shower and they sit up there on the ledge. And when I watch TV, if that ever happens, there's no time for that. But then I put them in a situation where they're with me. If you watch my Instagram, you'll see like when George is working, there's always a bird like around him. I also act like it's kind of like a puzzle every day, right? So I will think to myself, okay, I'm going to go take these birds to shower while these birds are completely safe out on the stands because I know they're not going to destroy anything. Well, they're safe, but if my stuff is safe, right? So like Nellie and Monty, I have 2 Senegals, Brando and Blue. For the most part, just let them fly all around. Leo, he never does anything, never goes anywhere. Same with Josie. But some of my naughty ones, like Vinny, Jersey, she's less naughty, but she's very needy. So she's going to scream the house down if she can't see me. My African gray Cody and my African gray Merlin, then I'll take like those guys up to shower with me. And then, while the other birds are free. So there's like this puzzle that I have to kind of make sure that everybody is doing something. You guys might not have that problem. I have a lot of birds, right? So that's a little bit different. That brings me to the next thing, which is screaming. So there are 2 kinds of birds, okay? There are birds that are noisy, and there are birds that are loud, okay? So a loud bird is like my macaw. When he screams, sometimes it can be like sickening to your DNA. I'm just being honest here, guys. Like sometimes it's not the sound you want to hear. Same with a screaming cockatoo. That's worse, actually. Screaming cockatoo is worse because my macaw is loud, but he may scream once or twice until you give him what he wants and then he's fine. In fact, I barely hear a scream out of him all day. He only screams at starts at 9 p.m. when he wants to be rolled over to watch his television. He has a big projector. He watches his movies. That's that. But Jersey, if she can't see me, it's like, ah, 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 ah. And it's like, it's easy to stop because, okay, let me just come pick you up and you're with me and she's fine. It's easy to solve, but sometimes you're not in the position or you're moving really fast. Like, okay, I just needed to go get something upstairs really quickly. And suddenly, you can't find it. So you're still looking for it, but she's downstairs screaming her head off because she can't see you. Let's say you have the windows open and the neighbors are going to hear it and you're like, should I keep looking or should I run all the way downstairs and then run all the way up and bring her up? But then if I go into the closet or into the bathroom or in anywhere else to look for it, like you're kind of carrying her around, it's not feasible. So yes, that is something to consider. If you are noise sensitive, if you appreciate the time that you have to relax, then I think a cockatoo is not for you. Because on top of the noise, and a lot of people come to my house and people with birds and they say, wow, they're so quiet. And it's like, yeah, because I know how to keep them content. And I know when they're screaming, what's wrong? It's not random. It's like, I got it figured out. It's just like, can I cater to that in that moment? I envy people that can go home and just sit and make a cup of tea and never have to get up again. That's not my life, You could bring the bird to sit with you. Let's just say you have one bird. Most people have more than one bird. But let's just say you have one bird and it's a cockatoo and it's Jersey and you're like, me and Jersey are going to have tea. And you go and you sit down and you relax and she's relaxed because she's with you. Suddenly she has to go potty and she kind of tells you, so you got to go get up and kind of put her on a stand. Or or maybe she gets off of you to go potty because she's trained, but she won't go potty on you or on the couch, but she'll go up on a chair and go on the floor, let's say. And you mentally like, oh, I'm gonna have to get up at some point and clean that. Or let's say now she's getting like tired of sitting there and she wants to walk down and walk away and you're like, "Oh, you're out of my sight. What are you chewing?" So like it's just a very unrelaxed environment. What I have found out is that this is going to sound crazy to you guys, but I found out that when I'm not in a high energy environment like that, I just get too OCD, like my mind makes up other nonsense to worry about that isn't there. So, I understand now about myself that like that constant busyness does good for me, but I understand for a lot of people it may not. So, Matthew says, I have many wild bird friends because I can have a life. And that's exactly true because the one thing I cannot stress enough is most people with a dog can leave the house and the dog is inside, the dog is outside, or whatever. You come home and the dog did whatever it does, unless you have a problem dog that's going to tear up the house or something. You come home and you're like, oh, great, now it's me time and whatever. But a bird locked in a cage, like think about it, they're not supposed to be in cages. They're not supposed to be in our homes regardless. I'll never I'll always say that, you know. But to know that while you're out or while you're not at home or while you're not interacting with them, they're locked up. It's like I adjust my life to go home and be with them, you know? So we're building a bird room right now, which is amazing. But as with a lot of things in our house, we're going on 2.5 years of building this thing because George is such a perfectionist, but he's like what my brother calls the golden buzzer. Boom. Like suddenly you're like, let's just make this simple. And then he can't make things simple. But I digress. Okay. So let's get to something else. You know what? Somebody asked how do you get the bird to not be loud anymore? I don't know if I went over that, but for example, really it's about giving the bird what it wants. Now, I know some people when they talk about training a bird and, you know, they don't want to give in to the bird screaming because then it trains the bird to scream. I feel the opposite. I feel like when you are using a bird to train it for reasons, that might make sense. But when a bird is living with you like their family, like she's my family, right? Like she's well fed right now. She's had something to drink. She has a toy. I don't know if you guys can see this little pacifier bead. She has everything she wants. If she drops this now and she wants it and she's screaming because she dropped it, I'm going to give it to her. You know? So and I think believe that's why when people come to my house, people that have birds, they say, "Wow, your birds are so quiet." Well fed, you know, I don't have to give them seeds and stuff for them to do tricks. Like I just know this is what Vinny likes to do. Like this is Vinny's favorite music. He's gonna dance, you know? And if he's exhausted because he's been dancing for half an hour or something, he's tired. That's it, you know? So exactly. So the next thing that I want to talk about, this is very much for cockatoos specifically. So cockatoos are, I don't want to make it sound when I say something specifically about cockatoos that it doesn't apply to other birds. So everything that I say, understand that it can apply to other birds too. So this can help any of you with any kind of birds. But cockatoos, they thrive on not just social interaction, but kind of like physical play, right? So if I give Jersey a toy or a bead or anything that she ends up liking, she is a little more advanced where she wants like 3 of those pieces to put together and to like try to figure out what to do with them. She's like a MacGyver who can like open things and exit. She wants to play the complex. And when we keep birds, like anybody, right? We're taking away a lot of the things that they do naturally. So we're saying don't give them boxes because we're going to promote nesting, cut their wings so that they don't fly. And then we expect them to kind of just sit and be good, right? But what we actually have to do is let them be birds, right? All of the activity that they should be doing and enjoy doing, tearing up the boxes and, foraging and like activity with multiple things to figure out, that's going to create a really good independent bird that doesn't rely on you. And cockatoos are considered Velcro birds. Like my hoodie today, I probably should have just left this and showed you guys, but my black hoodie today was white, okay? Because this bird, let's see, I actually rolled it before the video because it was cold in here. But I don't know if you guys can see. You see, like it's all, you'll see, like it's all white because they want to cuddle you and they want to be with you. And that's what's so tempting about cockatoos, right? But it's so easy to create a dependent cockatoo, any bird, but cockatoos especially. Then what happens is you can have a very loved cockatoo who is very loving and is generally very happy, but they pluck because they know something is missing. What's missing for them is things that we can't give them, right? We've cuddled them and we've loved them. And then suddenly they get to a certain age where they get hormonal and they naturally start understanding that there's something missing, where there's like a partner missing, and they're confused because they think we're their partner. But now that they realize they've been awakened by their hormones, it's like, whoa, you kind of like, you're not what, like you're not for me, you're a human, but like also you're the only thing I understand. And it's got to be trippy for them, and it's also got to be stressful because another thing is when these birds are bred to be with us, right? A lot of times the breeder removes the bird from its mom very early because you want to get them hand fed. You want to get them to be good pets, right? And what happens is they start missing out on a lot of social cues and interactions and language that the mother teaches the baby birds. So when they miss out on that language and how to communicate and understand, and then we step in and we communicate with them, then they become reliant on our communication, but they're actually not. While we do know that birds can talk and can speak whatever language you speak, it's not their natural voice, right? So they're confused because they're like, why are my capabilities like I'm able to kind of understand, they're so intelligent, but they were missing their key communication lessons that they have with their parents. So that's also very stressful, if that makes sense. If you guys have questions about anything that I'm saying, because sometimes it's like, it's a lot of information and it's a lot to explain what's missing in the bird's life when we take them away from their mom. I mean, there are birds out there that can speak 8 languages, like 8 bird languages, and they are named by their parents. Like, we don't know. Was the bird taken away too early to get their name to understand what it is to really be a bird? So then when they come to live with us, this like it comes to a point where their natural hormones wake them up and they're like, wait a minute, like this doesn't feel as bird as I feel like I need to be right now. Um, so yeah. Oh, hanging in there has asked if I could talk about how dusty they are. So yeah, they're definitely the most dustiest birds. Now, Jersey, for some reason, her feathers, I mean, obviously she's lacking a little bit in feathers, but her feathers were always a little bit different than my sulfur crested cockatoo. Now, I haven't seen it very much in a lot of umbrella cockatoos, but she has a lot less powder. A lot of my birds do. And I think for me, because people have asked me about this, why my birds don't have as much dust, but she did today. My hoodie was white, okay? Um, but I think that my birds are a little less dusty because they come in the shower with me at night, right? So even though I'm not putting them in there for them to shower, I think that mist that's coming in, it's like they're in a spa, kind of like dampens it. And I think you guys can take that advice too, as kind of like reducing the amount. Like she's basically being steamed every night. So she goes to her steam spa every night and loves her shower. So, but as far as dust goes, I mean, you can be petting them and then your hands are white and then you go to like touch your black shirt and it's got like hand fingers all over it. It's like it's pretty intense. Um I suppose if you didn't clean the cages as much as you should, there would be dust all over the cages. Some people have talked about African grays being very dusty. It's very important to be aware of your own allergies and stuff. Though it's not as common to hear people having feather allergies. Don't forget that you can get bird fancier's lung. A lot of, well, I don't know, a lot, but people can get diagnosed with that and then they can't be around birds at all and they can't even have like feathers in their pillows and stuff. And some of an amazing person with amazing birds that was diagnosed with that recently. I don't know, like, if I can share her name or how much she's been said anything about it to the public, but I know that that was a very hard experience because now you're talking about, your life. And it's not even like she has cockatoos, she has cockatiels. So, yeah, it's very possible. So that's another thing you want to definitely keep in mind. What are your allergies like? How often can you clean? Eventually, if you have a lot of birds, I mean, you would have to probably commit to a cleaning service coming in. Otherwise, you become a slave to them. I mean, we all become slaves to our animals. Like that's what it is these days in life. My mother specifically cannot believe that nobody has children and we all have birds and dogs and pets. But that's another thing that is really something that is important. You would need to know yourself, like Ty says, or a bird butler. So Ty, we call him the bird butler because he's very good with all of our birds and it's very important for them to be engaged. And Ty loves the birds. And you also got to make people around you be okay with birds. That's another big thing too. Let's talk about something else very important, which is aggression, okay? A lot of people that are good with birds cannot be great with cockatoos. So I hope I said that right. So some people have like Amazons figured out, maybe even African grays or even macaws, and then cockatoos are like a mystery to them. Just because you're good with one species does not mean that all of them are for you. We all have our favorite birds, right? Our bird types. But I've seen a lot of people, have a ringneck or an Amazon. It doesn't matter the size of the bird. It's not about size. There are people that are great with macaws and just cannot deal with cockatoos. Cockatoos are like, I feel like you have to be a human behavior analyst to, oh, sorry, a bird behavior analyst to be into cockatoos. I think it is like that for a lot of birds, but they can turn on you, right? Right, Jersey? They can suddenly, like, she loves guys. She loves certain guys, right? And then she'll just turn on them and like go to bite them. She won't go to bite girls, but she'll go to bite a guy that she loves. Now, I've had to figure out reasons why she'll just randomly go bite that guy. So to make this quicker for you to understand, let me just go over why she tried to bite Ron today. Ron works in our office sometimes. No, every day Ron works in our office. She loves Ron. When Ron went to say goodbye to her today, she went and bit him because she was upset that he was leaving. When I say bite, it comes fast. It's not like she bit him and he was bleeding, but it was like, like she acts like a lot of birds act like they're gonna let you pet them or something, and then you know. So that's something that you have to understand about them. Like, you have to do the work. You can't be like, oh my God, she bit me, I'm never gonna have, the bird again, or like birds are not for me. It's like, okay, why did she bite and why is it my fault? What is she upset about? Now you add that to the rule book and so on and so on, right? So, for example, if a guy comes in, falls in love with her, they want to hold her, they want to pet her, I have to tell them, just so you know, if you have to leave or you have to go or whatever. Sometimes it's like George's employees, because like, they come in the morning and then they go off to whatever location they're working on. And I'm like, I just want to let you know, if you don't want, like, if you need to put her down, just give me a wink and I'll take her, like as if I'm taking her, not as if you're rejecting her. She takes that personally. That may not be for every cockatoo. For example, my cockatoo Ty, who's our family cockatoo, he's a lesser sulfur crested cockatoo. What he will do is, if you walk in the house and you don't say hello to him, then he will run around and try to bite you. If you come say hello and pet him and like that anxiety calms down. He also doesn't like when George is like got a lot of energy. Like he just like is like Chinese zodiac of the horse, like insane. And that kind of movement makes the bird really loud and like anxious as well. And another thing I should touch on is that when these birds get anxious, it's going to make you anxious, and when you're anxious, it's going to make them anxious. They're just going to mimic your behavior, right? So what other reasons have you bit people for? Well, she's in love with my sister, and then she would bite any guy that had a crush on my sister. She could be playing what else? I don't know. She's pretty good. She's just a little revengeful at the guys, which I'm okay with. Have you ever bit me? I don't think you have. I mean, guys, this is like one of the chillest cockatoos I've ever had in my life. Like, I think like the craziest ones are those lesser sulfur crested cockatoos. Personally, I think umbrella cockatoos have a better temperament than the lesser sulfur crested cockatoos. Now, see, our lesser sulfur crested cockatoo is like when it's time for bed. Also, they get cranky, okay? Another thing you guys should know about cockatoos, this is not really a reason not to get one, but this is a tidbit I want to add for you guys so that you know, is that they really need routine. So like, and they act like little toddlers in a way. Like when Jersey is tired, let's say it's like 9 o'clock and it's time for a bed. Let's say there's guests over, Jersey will not want to go to bed, but she'll be cranky. So if we put her in bed and cover her, she's going to scream the house down because she wants to be part of the guest. She wants to be included. And cockatoos want to be covered. They want complete darkness and they want quiet, or they can lose it. And so you're always like, let me try, let me put her to bed. And like, the guests are still here, but maybe she'll be okay. But God forbid there's like one cute guy as the guest. No, she's going to scream her head off. We're going to go up and down many times. Like, did we cover the cage enough? Is the light out enough? No. Then eventually we're going to come to the conclusion that we got to bring her out and she's got to be with the guest, but she'll start getting crankier and crankier and she'll want to bite for things and stuff like that. On the contrary, our lesser sulfur-crested cockatoo, Ty, will say, time for bed, Ty. First he'll start and he'll go, time for bed, Ty. And then if you don't put him to bed, he will lose it. He will go up to his cage, cover it himself, and go to bed at the exact time. So, I mean, that's two different things, but both of them are cranky at their bedtime. Cockatoos need a good amount of sleep. That is just something that you need to know. The next thing is that I think a lot of you know this is that, yes, we all dream about having our pets forever, in your lifetime. If you're a dog person, probably have multiple dogs because they do not live like a quarter of what birds live. You could have a bird your entire life. The problem is that, especially cockatoos, you have to be prepared to put them first for your entire life. So while I might think getting a cockatoo is a really good idea, let's say I just got out of college, I'm starting my life, and maybe I've been able to work from home. So I'm like, this is perfect. Next thing you know, 2 years in, you get a boyfriend, a girlfriend, whatever. Cockatoo is insanely jealous. This is also why you got to teach whoever comes into your life how to socialize with your bird and how you can introduce socialization with your bird. And the bird gets jealous, right? So now that bird wants to kill that person, wants to bite that person. That person says, I'm not a bird person. They're not going to contribute anything to the care of the bird now because it was really easy for them to go, no, they don't like me. So you do their food, you'll do their water. Like, I'm going to ignore the bird. The bird's your problem. If the bird screams, you're going to get up and and then finally you're going to be like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this. And then you give up the bird that you committed to. That's one thing. Or you go out of the country because you got a job out of the country. Or you have kids and you're so scared that the kid is going to put their finger in the cage, right? I hear a lot of that. But like, it has to be that, like, for me anyway, and believe me, I'm understanding of everything, okay? But if you come into my life, I don't remember if I told you the story, like, first time I met George, I walked him through a bird store. I said, I need to see how you're going to be because you're just not going to be good for me otherwise, If you can't handle animals, and more importantly, we have birds that like Leo wants to bite George every time he walks by him, right? But George is still the person that like Leo loves to eat with. And like, so it's like Rocky, a lot of times when George is around, just wants to bite me when I walk by him. Rocky's my macaw, for those of you that don't know. But I'm not going to love the bird any less, and I'm not going to not participate, right? So cockatoos, with all their screaming and destruction and jealousy and aggression, can really make a partner be like, I'm out, it's me or the bird. And you might face that situation. And so that's something you really do have to think about. Let's talk about the situation with kids. A lot of people are like, oh, I had to get rid of my bird because I had a toddler and I was afraid that the toddler was going to stick their finger in the cage. Well, that brings me to two things. But first of all, that is not like, you had to have known that someday you're going to have a kid, right? So, like, why not teach them to coexist, you know? Ty says, that's your new show. It's me or the bird. I think George tried to tell me at one point it's me or Vinny, because Vinny always wanted to attack him. And I said, bye. See ya. And now George loves Vinny. Like, I just like Vinny would literally, like, if you told him no, he would like go bite you. You know, that's another thing. That's another cockatoo that a lot of people think they can handle. They're smaller, they're funny, and by God, like the amount of baby galah cockatoos that I met in bird stores that nearly made me leave with a galah cockatoo before I had my rescue Vinny was like, I wouldn't have known any better. I would have. George was once gonna buy one for me. He's like, do you really want it? Like, and I was like, no, it's just ridiculous. I don't really buy birds. It was like $4,000. But I kept thinking about this bird. I met other people in Los Angeles, ran into a girl at the bank because we took Jersey somewhere. She's like, oh, there's this pink cockatoo in the bird store that I can't stop thinking about. And I'm like, I know. Like I can't either. I would have never known. Okay, how moody they are. Like, I don't know what I knew before I had a galah cockatoo. I don't even remember, but they can turn on you once they get into that mode. But like the point is you get to know your bird, right? And you start going, he's in that mode. And then you adjust, right? So if you're not the kind of person that adjusts, or you have audio sensory issues, I mean, I'm telling you, sometimes when my macaw screams, I want to throw up. Like, I can't, like, the noise, and it's just something that the honesty is required right there. And it's easy for me to solve. Like, so I'll solve it. And that's when it's like, oh, okay, it's no big deal. But if you can't solve it, or it's something new, it's a new problem, you're like, what is it? Or if you're overtired and you're like, I don't want to get up again. I can't, I don't know. Like, please, like, or Suzanne has a galah. Suzanne, is your galah moody, or do you got like the perfect little baby? Do not lie, because we want to know. Yeah, Brian, Vinny did attack Ty once, and I told him he would, because Ty likes to push the limits. And what Ty went and, like, they remember, they hold a grudge, right? So this is another reason why people will say, like, don't give your bird boxes, they get very territorial. But again, people say that because it makes their life easier, right? Like, it's easier for me to tell you, don't do all of these things so that the bird won't get aggressive and attack you, because it makes sense. But the truth is that to have a bird, you have to be more of the type of person that understands living with this kind of wild animal, right? We can't take everything away from them. They nest, they forage, they like to be in boxes. What I want to teach you guys is how to live with that. Now, there are circumstances, right? If you have a female bird and they're not flighted and they're prone to laying eggs, then you can be encouraging egg laying. Again, that's a natural thing with birds. But if their wings are clipped and they're not getting exercise and their muscles are not strong, then they cannot have enough muscles to, to lay the egg safely. So there are things, and they will get aggressive around boxes, the females, the males, whatever. But we have to adjust to that. And by the way, if I give Vinny a box and he's territorial over it, guess what? He's 100% engaged in that box, collecting his foraging materials, doing whatever. And guess who gets a big break? Me. Do I go and antagonize him and try to annoy him and make him want to bite me? No. I just let him be a bird and say, this is his time to be a bird. Have we annoyed him for video for you guys to see him dive bombing George? Absolutely. Entertainment, we know, or we use it to our advantage sometimes when if you guys saw in a video, like he flew up on the chandelier. The first time he did that, I was like, oh my God, will we get him down? Because a lot of times birds know how to fly up, but they haven't really flown down. Even if they fly around the house, like they haven't flown down, especially with a 40-foot high ceiling and chandelier. So I was like, how do we get this bird to be territorial enough to come down? I'm like, okay, let's get a box. And like, you know, sometimes you have to use those things to your advantage to divert, you know, use their natural instincts to divert. So that's something that, you know, you have to think outside the box in a way that you're still like encouraging them to be the bird, right? How else would I get the bird off the chandelier, right? I'm not going to throw things at the chandelier. I'm not going to leave him up there. I don't know what he's going to chew up there. I don't know if there's like what's this chandelier with all these little, I don't know if there's electricity. It's like, okay, let's get that box and bang. What do they go towards, right? So that's something. Another thing people don't really know about cockatoos is how emotional they are. We talked about how aggressive they are, and a lot of times that comes obviously from emotion. Sometimes it comes from them being territorial. So it comes from a lot of different things, but they're very emotional and they get attached to people. They get jealous. They want to play. They can be upset if they don't get their way. I mean, it's quite amazing. Like, it's no wonder people watch videos of cockatoos. They dance. There's like music in their soul, right? And if you're emotional, they're going to be emotional, right? Like, let's say there's drama in the house. Somebody's yelling. Guess who's going to yell too? And she'll like yell like, and like, right? They all, because you know why? Not just that they're picking up on your emotion. If they're picking up on your negative emotion, they might go to pluck. If they're picking up on happy emotion or just loudness, they kind of see it as like flock sounds, so they participate, right? So the louder you are, same thing with like say you have a running dishwasher, running water, like those kind of constant noises make them like kind of like loud, you know, it's kind of like matching that flock call. Another reason not to get a cockatoo is simply because these are exotic animals. Okay? You do not want to watch a cockatoo or any other bird for that matter. Or let's put it this way. I like to watch, if there's these monkeys on TikTok, okay? Like, I think I need one when I see them, okay? Like, they are so cute, so amazing. And you're like, wow, that's the interaction I need, right? Because I love exotic animals. I have experience with exotic animals. So clearly, I could handle a monkey, right? I could handle anything that's thrown at me, right? But when you throw things into your environment that don't belong in your environment, it's your fault. You have to adjust. There's no reason for me to get a monkey because I watched one on TikTok and I would love the experience. See, we have to do the math on how much of having that bird or that pet is only the good moments, right? Like, before you get the bird, it's like, oh, I'm excited to cuddle the bird. I'm excited for it to dance. I'm excited for it to maybe talk. I'm excited to walk around and show my friends. But then the rest of the time is I have to go home early because of my bird. I need to make sure I make my bird really good, healthy food. I got to start chopping up vegetables and stuff, even if I don't do it for myself. If I'm not home, the bird is in a cage. If I'm not in the same room, it could have destroyed my designer bag, my designer shoe, whatever the heck else, my books are all chewed up. Did you guys see the video where like Morgan pulls down the my backdrops and they're all chewed up and the bird chewed like a section. And so every spot in the backdrop is ridged. So, you know, Lori says the Myers parrot is the worst out of all of her birds. Yeah. It's just different too. And that's another good point. Like, Jersey has sat through, I don't know what I do not think that our lesser silver-crested cockatoo would sit like this in this live like this, right? So she's making it look really good. And then you go back and look at my videos and she's dancing and she's playing hide and seek and she's doing all these things. And then it makes you really excited to have a bird. But you have to analyze, am I looking for those moments? Is that what I'm looking for to satisfy me? Because I don't think I can do that forever. Or can I not live without a bird? Does that make sense? Like, look at her. Like, I think some people are just born for birds, if that makes sense. And they're different. Like, they're just different. They're not the same. They are people that are adjusting their entire lives the way they are just to be with their birds, like to have birds. So when people say it's a lot of commitment, it's not like it's a lot of commitment. It's like I've told people they didn't listen and then they're giving up their birds. And then it's hard to have that sympathy, you know? Rachel says, I call my galas Sour Patch Kids, sometimes sour as well as sweet. I love my birds though. Yeah, and the other thing is you have to not take things personally because a lot of people, what are you going to do if your bird bites you, right? If Jersey bit me today and I was bleeding, what am I going to do tomorrow? Not take her out of the cage? No, I'm going to be like, ooh, that was my fault. What did I do to trigger her? Can I improve this behavior in her, or is this very natural and I overstepped my bounds? So you have to be the person that's willing to put the bird first in terms of how you adjust. I guess I can't say it enough, you know? The other thing I definitely want to mention is adopting a cockatoo. There's obviously, you guys know I have rescues, right? My birds, most of them are rescues. I love rescues. I really do. However you got your bird, I love you for loving your birds. This may be something you never thought of in the way you hear it. We all say adopt, don't shop. Do not go adopting a cockatoo if you've never had a bird. No. The amount of irresponsible cockatoo adoption is insane. In fact, I don't even know how these places let people adopt a cockatoo that hadn't adopted one before or hadn't worked with cockatoos. I have no idea. But do you know how many emails I've got about people saying, I don't know what to do. I adopted a cockatoo. I really wanted to, adopt, not shop. And the cockatoo bit the hell out of my kid. Listen, guys, that's the thing. It's one thing if you're getting a cockatoo before you have kids and everything. That's one thing to think about. How will I adjust? It's quite another to have kids and then bring in something that could potentially rip their finger off. Cockatoos don't generally love kids. In fact, I'm amazed at the amount of Amazons I've seen love kids. That's pretty impressive to me. I don't know if they're just sturdy, less moody. I don't know, but it's just not safe. And if you're not a trainer, think about these people that train and work with lions. Never in your wildest dreams would you go out and say, I want to be a lion tamer and I think I have the skills, right? Because they can bite you, they can kill you. One of my friends, because my sister, this was actually my sister's dream. One of my friends, producer I work with, said, you're going to get eaten. All of them get eaten. And whether that's true or not happens more often than you think. You know, you have to be a certain kind of talent and skill to be a lion tamer. We have to think of birds that way. We have to, right? We just have to. So, yeah, they're not going to chew you up to pieces, but you could get Rocky bit me so bad, I wasn't sure if my damn finger was going to come off. That's my macaw. Rachel B says, I don't let my galah around kids. I'm very careful. Same. Like, kids come into my house. I'm like, we're going to play with Leo. I'm going to tell you exactly how to play with Leo. And we'll ask your parents if that's okay. And we'll warn your parents that they also cannot come near you because the bird's going to be territorial over you and they won't be able to touch you. So that's another thing, you know? So that brings me to training. Like, let's talk about training, right? A cockatoo may not be the bird that you have training skills with, right? So you may be really great at training a cockatiel or even a macaw. It's not about size. Literally, there are just some birds that some people understand. And then other birds are a mystery to them, you know? So, and that's totally understandable. So cockatoos, like, I feel like they work best when you integrate them into the family. You find out what it is that they like to do. Jersey likes to dance. She likes to play hide and seek. I taught her how to sing. She doesn't have a great voice, but she does it. And, you know, you work around them, you know, they're not fly from A to B kind of birds. They're really like, don't test me right now, you know? So, bye, Jackie, sending love. Crystal says it best. If I took everything they did personally, I'd be crying daily. You know, I try to think like how often I get bit, but I'm just so immune to it, you know? So that's something to think about. Another reason not to get a bird, a cockatoo specifically. Most cockatoos are larger, right? I think like you could say like galah cockatoos are a little bit smaller, but in general, they need a lot of space. I mean, you're talking about like the cage that they sleep in, you need a large cage. And the more I you know, talk about being engaged and not caged, the more ideally everyone would have a bird room where their bird can just be free, right? So you need a lot of space for a cockatoo and a lot of safe space where they're not going to destroy things and just chew things up. You need space for like the stands that they're on to roll around. So that's something really important too. And with that being said, another reason not to get a bird, they're very messy, like messy. Like when a cockatoo, let's say they're going to eat their seeds or whatever, they may decide they don't want them right now, or they didn't see something in the mix and they throw everything out, like drama, you know, just like all over. My macaw does that too. He literally loves when my mom sweeps, then just like right all over. He's like, you're not going to sweep, you know, under me. So it has to be funny to you, you know? Like, I think the thing is, like, the bad things they do, you have to be the kind of person that loves them so much that it's funny. They have cockatooed, you know? That she's got attitude. So it's like funny, you know? I'm relaxed enough. I was born with birds. Like, it's funny to me. It's like, okay, I get you, you know? So I think like the mess is hard to describe because I don't want you to imagine like you're like, you know, but I think what it is like, for example, in the morning when I wake up, I make them different breakfast for whatever the birds like. I put in a little bowl for her. She eats it, and before you know it, she pulls a whole thing out and it's dripping on the counter and everywhere. And like somehow, because I love sleep, I'm not the kind of person that calculates. I calculate getting up and leaving. I forget all the stuff I got to do. So then, like, you feed them, and then it's just like you have to clean up after they eat, because then, or she might go take something to eat and go stand on the back of a chair, let's say, like, if this was a normal chair, and then eat, and all the crumbs are on the floor, and you have to sweep, and like you're just like, I'll get it in a minute or whatever. And like, so you can come back, and then meanwhile that she's also chewed a box nearby because you're eating and you wanted to give her something to be busy with. You hand her something like this, and they're chewing it up, or you open it up and you're like, here's all your, like, eat the vegetables from it, and they eat it, and then like, so like it's like it's more like you're cleaning up after everything that they're doing, like you're following them and cleaning up after them. And I think like the thing with that is that but it really is. It's like a toddler. So it's not exactly like you're gonna walk in and like there's gonna be, like, I don't know. I guess a worst case scenario. You're imagining some like hoarding situation, but basically, it it it's a mess in terms of like you have to be active with them all day. Um, So that's something to understand too. I wouldn't necessarily call them dirty, more messy. I think like it would be dirty though if you left it like that. Yeah. So, and then Christine says like if you don't include them, they can get behavioral problems. 100%, because they're just like jealous, and they're just, so I think like being on guard all the time is really like you're not relaxed. That's really what I have to say to you guys. Like, I don't go home and relax. Don't feel bad for me. I chose this life, not complaining about it. I don't even think I could relax if I wanted to. I would just be probably in OCD land, like with other, like making stuff up in my head. That's whatever. But yeah, like Crystal says she has to sweep 6 to 7 times a day, you have the Roomba, you forget. I mean, just like in a matter of like seconds, like it's like a tiny Tasmanian devil came into your house and just like tore up all the little sections. So so that's pretty much like, that's pretty much kind of like what it's like. And I think like a lot of people don't live the day to day with how much work that is. It's hard too, because like when I talk about the birds, I have like 11 of them. So, I mean, I have a much different situation. For me, whenever I'm in a situation where I have one bird, so for example, we went to Vegas with Vinny once. I think you guys saw the video, or maybe I just had it on my Patreon. I'm not sure. When I went to Vegas with Vinny, I was like, wow, this is so easy. Like, like, psh, and even George was like, this is a no brainer. Like, wow, I can't believe he's a Cockatoo, the moodiest of the moody, but like that was easy for us because there's like otherwise 11 in my house. Yeah. Katie Wood says Vinny in Vegas is iconic. So I think, the other thing that would be important for you guys to know is just like one thing I really, really always want everybody to know about having a cockatoo, there she is that is gonna change everything about the way you live. And every minute is gonna be, there's an instinct that you develop, right? Growing up with birds that is hard to explain to anybody, right? So let's say you have a flighted bird, and your bird is like free to fly around the house when you're home, right? But that means like there's not a moment that you leave a coffee out. There's not a moment that you leave, chocolate out. There's not, I'm going to have a glass of wine or alcohol and then just go to bed and forget about it and then wake the birds up and oh shit, one of them drank the alcohol or got to it. Nothing. Like you have to be, first of all, putting everything away. You can't just leave your laptop open and like kind of go make something in the kitchen. This one has torn up my keys multiple times, torn them all up. So you're very unrelaxed. You can't, hang out with them without having, like, unless she's on a stand like this, without having to, like, let's say, always clean their potty every like 30 minutes. You can't leave a back door open. You're always screaming at people, close the door, close the door. You always wish that there's two doors between things. You always have to make sure you close and lock everything, because God forbid you did it halfway and these like MacGyvers want to open it and get their head stuck. You have to be careful of strings and wires, and like they love going behind things, and like they love to like put themselves in holes in walls and wherever. Like, you have a kid-free zone times 400, right? Because you don't want your stuff to be yesterday I started hearing a glass move. I had a tall glass of water and Leo wanted to get some. His head, he would be too fat to fit his head in it. He's my Amazon. But he starts pushing it off of the table, right? Like, and I'm like, no, because I could hear glass. He's about to smash that glass while he's trying to get in it. While I turned my back for 1 second, you have to think about, like, they could fly on top of the door, right? And you could accidentally close it. You have to make sure all your ceiling fans are off or just get rid of them. Like, my instincts are like, because I had birds since I was a kid. So like before I go in a room, like I kind of know where they all are. I can hear their flight pattern, know where they're going to go, when they go, who is the new person in the house that might do this, this, or that. You're inviting a huge puzzle into your home that's very exhausting, really. So, yeah, like that is something that I wish you guys knew. And I wish you also knew that, hi Wendy, I wish you also knew that you have to choose a bird. This is really hard if you've never had one, but if you have a family, you have to really do due diligence before you bring a bird into your house. Because one thing I forgot to mention is you may get a bird because you're looking for that interaction that you want. And it may not be the earlier story I told you where your bird, hates your spouse or partner. It may be that your bird only loves your partner and hates you. That's another thing. So you have to be educated in socialization, how to make the bird like be okay with both of you. And guess what? It's 100% possible with almost every bird, but the amount of work it takes for the other person, I'm fully going to admit to you right now, I've admitted to you this before. I know how to make Rocky love me. Okay. I can make Rocky want to be with me all the time. There is no way I'm doing it. Rocky's my Harlequin macaw, for those of you who don't know. No way. I want that bird to just love George, because I already have so many birds that are like mine to deal with. And like, it's like a little bit relaxing to be like, no, he only goes with you. Yeah. Am I being lazy? Sure. But I also know that then George is freed up to give Rocky more of that attention as well. And Rocky's freed up to receive it. So, like, I think you guys have to understand that, like, it really is possible to make a bird that's fallen in love with one person love you too. But the amount of work it would take, I mean, it would take you working with the bird alone in a neutral territory, putting in a lot of effort, and then habituating the bird to be around you when, let's say, nothing is happening, right? So a lot of the way I work with birds is inclusion, right? It's all about including them in the situation, right? So yes, interacting with Jersey and playing with her and all that, 100%. But also on the time that I'm not 100% interacting with her, she's here, right? She's here. She's here. We know she's here because you guys want to see her, but she's here. If I'm in the shower, she's in the shower. How am I working to find places? I'm washing the dishes. You know, I have that big, like one, you know, the one that makes it easy for you to wash the dishes and it's got like a little perch. One of the birds is sitting there. I don't care who, one of them has to be sitting there because they all have to, I have to be finding ways to engage with them all of the time, you know? Yeah, Robin Wright. My Senny has to be removed while I cook. She screams the whole time. She has no fear of heat and fire. That's an instinct that Robin has to know. She can't just go into the kitchen and turn on the thing, like, and forget that the bird might fly, you know, like, so. And there's all these dangers, you know, I can't even come up with all the dangers right now because there's just so many of them. And it's never, when birds, most birds pass because of an accident that was an accident is really, you know, I mean, like, because they're not meant to be in our homes and we are not born with the instinct to not turn on the fan, not because there's also like there's the safety and there's the destruction, right? So you're navigating keeping them safe and you're navigating like them destroying something and you're navigating other people coming into the situation and them not getting bit and them not getting attacked and also integrating them, you know? So it's a lot of mental work and I think that's what people don't understand. So those are the things that it's just like a complete disruption of your daily routine. Thing is, I never had a routine without a bird, so I don't know any different. Like you take them away from me and I can't breathe. Like I feel like I can't breathe. I don't know why I'm addicted to this insanity, honestly. So yeah, like I think I just like to make it look terrible. And then when they start plucking, it's a whole other thing, right? You know, they've got an anxiety. The best bird that looks the happiest, she's happy, she's calm. You see how she is? She has toys. She lives with me. But even I can't give her everything that she needs because she's a bird. So she gets anxiety because she's not in the right environment for her, right? Your toddlers grow up and they move out. And, you know, so that's something that, you know, you may be worried about neighbor. For example, somehow, like, I don't know if George is just deaf to like Rocky's screams, but sometimes like we're in a predicament where we have guests over Friday night dinner and all the birds are around. They're like, you know, you guys have seen it. And Rocky screams, our macaw. You could tell that the guests are completely on edge. Well, the first time, it's not like he's continuing to scream, but let's say he screams and they're like, whoa, what was that? I mean, the decibels are not normal to hear in a house, right? It's extremely disturbing. Now I'm anxious because I don't want the guests to be disturbed. George, though, not anxious at all. This guy's used to a certain level of stress that I don't even know. Like he causes it on himself. He'll just keep going and I'm stressed because I'm like, he wants to be with you because, like, you know, and George is like, but I can't because he gets so excited. He wants to like regurgitate on me, right? And I'm like, I don't care what he wants to do right now. I can't watch the guests. And so you're like, you know, stressed and like, so this is just situations. I'm just trying to be honest about a lot of situations that. Another thing, do you have other animals? You know, how birds interact with everybody in the house is very important. So, yeah, that's a lot that we've gone over, and I'm very happy to get this out of my system because a lot of times when I'm feeding them at night, and that's another thing, feeding them, you can't just buy seeds or pellets or Marlene's signature blend, by the way, which you can find on parrotstation.com, and put it in their bowl and call it a day, right? you need to give them real food and real vegetables, and like you have to be preparing them literal food, you know? So I think like, the amount of it's like you've got something between like a toddler and like I don't know, you know? So what do I feed her? I feed her like everything, okay? So I'm a vegetarian. Um So in the morning, she'll eat with me. What do we eat? I'm so difficult with food, but she loves egg. Okay, that's like her favorite thing. She loves rice. She loves all sorts of vegetables and she loves apples. She will just go open her own apple. I have the washed apples like just sitting there. I don't even eat them. She just like the birds just kind of find them and then they eat them. And then once they chew one, I'll like cut it all up for them. She loves mango. Oh my god, that's like her favorite. She loves what else do you love, Jersey? She loves I don't know, all sorts of vegetables and stuff. So even if you ask me like what I eat, I don't even remember, but she'll eat everything. You just don't want to give them avocado, you don't want to give them uh caffeine, chocolate, stuff like that. And that's another thing too, like whatever, like let's say you want to eat junk, right? They're going to go after it. And if you want to give them the best life possible, you really want to make sure that they're eating raw vegetables. Let's say like majority is raw vegetables and then like, 20% fruit. And then of course there are grains and stuff. It's another thing too. Like you have to look at how they eat in their natural environment. So yeah, Tops pellets are very good. We have Tops pellets in our signature blend because sometimes you just can't get a bird to eat pellets, and eventually you can sometimes, but sometimes you can't. And the reason is because they're very grain bird. Like some birds are very into grain, so you have to realize like where they are and like where they come from. Sorry, so that's important. Oh yeah, my birds love Bird Street Bistro cooked foods. Yeah, those are good too, actually. I have that at home because I met the creator of that at Global Zoo. Such a nice, amazing guy. Those kind of mixes are really great for your birds. You can make them yourself. Jersey loves her tea. She loves Jersey's tea, and she loves, I think we're out of Jersey's tea, so don't go on our site trying to get Jersey's tea right now. But we have other teas on our site for avian lovers. They're basically caffeine-free teas that you could share with your bird. Swear to God, everybody that comes to my house is like, can I have the Jersey tea or the blue tea or whatever their favorite? Usually the favorite is the Jersey Rocky or blue. So I have to definitely make more of those. Another thing is you have to remember to this was just at the top of my head. What was it? Toys, right? You always want to make sure that you have a lot of things for them to play with. It doesn't have to be store-bought toys. It can be stuff that you make. It can be stuff that's safe, like you can untreated wood, things like that. You don't have to spend a fortune on toys. They may just be into a box, or like Jersey, I could give her an entire toy and then what she really wants is the bead. So sometimes it can be as simple as that, but you do have to know your bird and how they play, because no toy is safe unless you know how your bird plays with it, unless you've kind of like had supervised the situation, because it doesn't matter what brand, what kind of toy, there is no 100% safe toy. That doesn't mean don't put toys. It just means like this bird might be prone to swallowing the fuzzies on a bird hut, but this bird may not be able to go to sleep without the bird hut and will never chew the thing. So I really don't like that like blanket advice for like this bird toy is bad or that one is good, because these bird toy companies have worked their asses off to do research to make sure that they know what they're doing. A lot of time when you bring something up, I've actually been involved in getting feedback because we have a store from you guys, like, and saying, okay, this happened to a bird, and then being able to go to that bird toy company and saying, so just want to let you know, this is what happened to this bird, and then they've discontinued it. So it's always best to make sure it's your responsibility to be aware of how your birds play with the toys, but also to to realize that you can give your feedback, and it's needed, rather than like, I've seen people blast like toys saying this is terrible and this is bad. I just think that's wrong, especially for the companies that a lot of them are small businesses, and they put a lot of effort into these things because they realize that some things are, that they've realized there's a need for. Not everything is always perfect, but I'm sure that anybody would love feedback on the safety for birds. But likewise, if you knew how many birds got cut from natural toys where the shell cut their tongue, I've seen that a lot as well. I've seen mold sometimes on natural toys. I've seen just any kind of toy I've heard things about. So it doesn't even matter. So that's why I'm saying, like, and then some other people may only want natural toys because they might have, like when one of these beads break, they might not, the sharpness. So you just don't know. Like, it has to be an appropriate toy for the size of your bird too, right? I'm not going to hand this to Rocky. He's a huge macaw, right? He could potentially swallow it or choke. People have had their birds do things like that. I personally have not, but I have heard of it, So like, you just have to use your pay attention, So you do have to be aware of everything with regarding the bird too, and how they play and how they interact. But it's very important to provide toys for your birds to make sure that they do indeed, have things to interact with. There's nothing worse than a bird in a cage with nothing to do. It's absolutely terrible. If you think your bird doesn't play with toys, you'd be very surprised. Like, I didn't see Leo play with toys for like 2 years. And then one day, like, it was just the kind of toy. Like, one day I happened to find that he likes square wood pieces specifically. So if you don't want to spend money, try with like cardboard, try with paper. Like, there's a company we work with and resell, and a lot of their toys are kind of made out of paper and stuff like that, easy to kind of chew. There's a company I work with, and there's a lot of beads and stuff. There's a company that has a lot of natural things, and like, so it's all just different. And that then so a lot of birds like Crunchy Munchy from Planet Pleasures, like different things that are really, really exciting. So yeah. And you guys can check out our website, parrotstation.com. If you want to support the channel and shop with us, then absolutely. By the way, a coupon code we do have, in case you are watching and need a coupon code, is Picasso 10 in all caps. So that'll get you 10% off your entire order, and it will always work. So my Picasso, of course, will always work. So you guys can use that if there's something. By the way, we have, maybe I'll give you a tour tomorrow or another day. But we have we have brought in shipments from all the most amazing companies recently. We have so many toys that we don't even have time to get them on the site, but we are working on it. Katie, I love that you love Parrot Station toys. They're your favorite toys. What's your favorite toy, Katie, by the way? Ty wants to give you kisses, Jersey. Can I have a kiss? Thank you. So you like that? You like that kiss? If you want a Vinny Gang hoodie, Jen, place the order and we will send it to you. For those of you interested in the newest thing that we have, pre-order is over. We have sent you all out your landing zone hoodies. How awesome are these, guys? Check it out. This is my favorite thing. The shoulder reserve here. You know what? I'm just going to wear it so you guys can see, because it's badass. Pre-order is over, which means that you all got your hoodies finally. I know it took a long time. It's hard to explain, but we finally got them in. And, ooh, Nicole, you got it. Ty loves the landing zone. So here, let's see if I can give you guys a, how badass is this, guys? This was a dream for a while. Reserved for your bird. The best thing is it's got a hood. So for those of you that your bird likes to like peck at your face, like I have a bird that does that, then you know, and then when they land, and this will make the most kick-ass videos. So I want to see your videos, guys. But also the craziest thing, the funny thing about it, Katie, you got yours too. I love it. I did order a few more than the pre-order, just because I remember from when I did the Vinny Gang hoodies, I didn't do pre-order, but I only had a certain amount. Then I started feeling really bad. So we do have some in stock, but not a lot, because I just couldn't, like, honestly, I couldn't afford to order much more than what you guys ordered. So check them out. They're pretty amazing. Miss Lane says, I wanted my human to get one. Yeah. So, oh, it's not in your size. We're not restocking the Vinny Gang hoodies. Right now, we have these hoodies. We might have Vinny Glitter Gang in that size. I'm not sure. But we are not restocking the Vinny Gang hoodies, although they're my favorite. But we're a small business, so we can really only focus on one of these kind of things at a time. And this is what is badass right now. Jersey, do you want to sit on my shoulder? She's just so content, though. She's so happy right there. So this is like amazing because it's reserved for the cool birds. And if your bird is cool, this is where your bird's going to sit. But honestly, I really thought, like, I mean, you know, growing up, there just wasn't like anything with a bird on it was so lame. Like, oh no, is she covered by that sign? Can you sit with mommy? You don't want to? That's so upsetting for me. Okay, you don't want to. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Oh, but now you can see her. You let them make their choices too. But honestly, when I grew up, like, there was nothing cool with birds on it. It was literally just like just uncool stuff, like, you know, like the like flowers and like I don't know, like this is like I wore this, okay, and Wiz Khalifa told me it looked awesome. Do you know how many people are asking me if they can get their hoodie? Like, I swear to God, I had my friend in here, you know, Kenny, you guys know Kenny. He's like, when am I getting my hoodie? And I'm like, they were on pre-order, so you cannot have one. It's for my bird people, but I love him to death. But everybody is asking me for them and coming in and trying to get them, and I'm trying to like hold on to them because I don't want them to not be available, you know. So no, Ty, what the heck? No, this is like class. Some people were like, how come you didn't make a spot for where they poop? And I'm like, because that's not acceptable. It's like, this is like classy and cool and badass. George already got Jordans to match. Like, he has his what do you call them? What do you call them, Ty? To match the hoodie already. They just look awesome, you know? Oh yeah, good point, Robin. That's a very good point. Yeah. So, yeah, if you guys do want to like check out the store, come here, baby. You want to come see? You don't? Do you want a bead? Do you want some beads? So funny. Like, you just find out like what she likes. Here you go. Let me see if you guys can see her. So yeah, if you guys do want a hoodie, use that code, because then you'll get 10% off. And, you know, it is a tiny bit more expensive maybe than some hoodies out there, but like, you're never going to find a design like this. It's like there's 4 prints, they're silk screened, and they had a hand do each thing because like no one prints here. And just like, that's also what took so much time, because it's like you can't just run it through whatever the system is. Everything had to be done, and there were so many orders. The code is Picasso 10 in all caps. Let me see if I can write that. If I write this here, will you guys see it? As you guys can see, I'm using StreamYard for the first time. I'm testing it out because I actually want to start like simulcasting and creating this little thing for you guys that I'm really excited about. So testing it out today to see how it works. Isn't her sweater so cute? She likes gray. So is there any questions before I sign off? Because I really had a great time with you guys today. And I'm so happy that we were able to talk about this subject, because I think it's a really important one. And I'm sure I didn't cover everything, and I'm sure that a lot of your experiences will be different than mine. And I'd love you to put in the comments your experiences with cockatoos or even other birds, because it really helps birds when we're honest about it, because then people don't jump into things and then give up their birds, right? So if I can prevent you from giving up a bird, then I'm happy. You know, I love when you guys tell me, like, I watch your videos and learn not to get a bird. Like, I love that. I also love when you tell me that your bird has a better life because you were able to watch my videos. So my life has changed a little bit lately in a way that it's not been as easy to film and like spend time editing it. So I'm, like I mentioned before, really working on like going live, and some adjustments have been made where maybe that's going to be a little bit easier for me to do time-wise from now on. So I really hope I'm able to do that. If you guys want to help me do that, then definitely post in the comments some questions you have or some topics that I can cover, so that, you know, I know what to come on and like help you guys with. Because the more I think about it, like it's just it eats away at me when I don't have time to like come on here and like contribute to the bird world. But obviously starting this had, you know, just to sustain it, I had to try to create a business, but I wasn't I wasn't prepared for what it would create. And I've told you guys this before. So I wasn't prepared for, you know, renting an office, and I wasn't prepared for holding inventory. I just wanted to make things that were cool for you guys. It started with like some other shirts, the sniffer shirts and all that kind of cool stuff that's since been discontinued, or there may be one or two in your size, I'm not sure. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please put in the comments things that you might want me to talk about. If you guys have any last questions before I go and there's something I can answer, I absolutely will. But Jersey and I are very excited to be here with you guys, and thank you so much for being here today. You would love to know good birds for kids. So I have a video on that. Actually, I think it's called Top 10 5 Birds for Kids. You could watch that, but also I would love to update you on that. So I have new things that I would, you know, new thoughts on that, actually, you know, very interesting things, since I think I made that video perhaps even before I had Leo. So yeah, I would love to update my take on that. Christine, I am planning on going live again tomorrow. I am really going to work on showing up live, because, you know, I'm such a perfectionist that I thought like, oh, I have to create this video and edit it, and it's just not happening that we have time. And I'm like, you know what? A live is really going to be the only way for me to participate. I know I've been on before and I've said this and that I'm going to go live, but some major things have changed. And, so I think that, you know, I think that I will be able to go live. For one, just in case you guys are curious, for one, this office that I'm in right now, I cleared it out of all the inventory, and I am just, it's just for filming. So I'm really hoping to be able to like come in here and focus on filming all day. Today I thought I was going to be able to go live earlier, but we are in a transition period where our computers are still in here, and our inventory is still in another room. So there's everyone's talking in this office during the day with all sorts of drama, like stupid things like, how do we make this work? And this software's not working. And then we ran out of labels and we can't make this one toy because we don't have the parts, and we know, just insane stuff, you know? So not really what I thought I'd be doing, but yeah, I am. So it's fun, guys. I got all of these parts to create all of these new toys, and I will show you around one day, and maybe one day we'll do like a live toy making session, but you know, where we try to create stuff and we design a new toy. So let you know what time. I don't know what time. What I'm working along the lines of when it gets quiet enough in here for me to go live. So if I had to guess, maybe I could do it by like 3 p.m. Pacific time. But don't quote me on that. Love you guys so much. I will get better at time once I figure out exactly. I have something planned for you guys, and once I figure that out, I think I can get timed, like really good timed. But right now we're going to practice and see how this StreamYard thing worked. I love you guys so much, and thank you, Rebecca, for that. I will see you guys tomorrow. And the reason I'm saying that is so that I will feel like I made a commitment. So if this video has helped you in any way, please leave a comment, give it a like. Brian let you guys know that earlier. I appreciate that, Brian. Thank you so, so much. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, Jersey. I love you guys.